I have some really big kayaking goals for this year. Some of them genuinely scare me, and I've been avoiding them for way too long. Others really excite me. I hate reaching the end of the year and realizing I avoided the same challenges or skipped the same trips that I've wanted to go on. So this year, I'm doing something different. I'm sharing them with you. That feels like it's going to create some accountability. It puts a little bit more pressure on following through, or I risk feeling like I might be letting you down. Today, I'm sharing what I've been avoiding and what I'm genuinely excited about for this upcoming year, and why I'm finally ready to commit to some of those things that scared me. I'm closing a skill gap this year, specifically Blue Hill Falls. Now, the reason that I think I've been a little intimidated by Blue Hill Falls and other reversing falls mainly has to do with the fact that I mostly paddle solo. And aside from finding time with a coach, which costs money, or finding the rare times I can go paddle with other friends who come up to this area in that particular spot, I don't have a lot of opportunities to get out into that. And part of the challenge is, I know I'm going to get my butt kicked, particularly learning. I think I'm afraid of the messiness of learning in that type of environment. I also set this goal last year to get more proficient at these reversing falls. And I didn't do it. I skipped it. This is the thing I'm coming back to that I skipped last year. And I think part of it was that the other challenge I gave myself to roll 1,000 times in a month, there's an episode about that, I'll put that somewhere. That kind of encompassed and sucked all of the oxygen out of the room for other things. But there was something else that was happening that I don't know if I saw right away, particularly with the slightly scarier Blue Hill Falls story. And that was that when I set out on starting to do this about a year ago, my nervous system was shot. I was completely stressed out from work. I was stressed out from life. We'd said goodbye to a beloved pet. Any number of things that were happening at the beginning of last year just had me at the edge of my capacity to hang on. And being in that really noisy, chaotic environment and having to push myself in this adventure sport way, I just wasn't there for it, friends. I didn't have the space to do it. Looking back, I think that's the real reason why that goal sat all last year and I barely touched it and barely went back to do it. My plan this year, try to reduce the scary bits. I'm probably going to focus this a bit on the warmer months so that when I am swimming, I am a lot warmer than if it's 20 degrees outside. Okay, the second thing that I'm really excited about, I'm not scared about this one at all, I'm really excited about this one, and it's that we've been planning a trip to paddle up in Canada, specifically paddle a multi-day trip on the Saguenay with a friend I've met here on this channel. And this has me really excited because maybe about a year ago, as I was looking at my charts of what paddling trips do I want to have, I just looked north of the border here in Maine, and did you know there's coastline all the way up in Canada? I don't know why I live so close, but paddling in that area just wasn't on my radar. So we've got this amazing trip planned on the Saguenay Fjord. I'm looking forward to seeing wildlife. I'm looking forward to seeing this beautiful national park in Canada. I'm looking forward to paddling with this friend. I've even already bought a tent, friends. Yes, I didn't have the right tent for this trip. So I bought another tent, and I'll show you about that tent at some other point here on the channel for those of you who are into that type of thing. But that's how excited I am. I'm already planning gear and looking at my gear, even though we're months away from this. In addition to buying a tent, I'm also really excited because Wendy is going to be joining on this trip. I don't know if I'm going to make an episode of this trip. There are these times when I paddle with friends that I actually try to protect a lot and make them for me. So I haven't taken y'all along on that. But if there's something about this trip that interests you, maybe there will be an episode about this trip. I haven't really gotten my brain around that. But if there's something about the planning or the logistics or the trip itself you'd like to see, let me know in the comments and I'll start to collect ideas. I started talking about this skill gap I wanted to close around my confidence and comfort in reversing falls. The other gap that I want to close is a real physical, digital gap physical gap when I'm on the water, and it's a digital gap when I'm looking at my GPS track, because my track along the Maine coast has these gaps in it, these little empty spots of, oh, I've never connected that point to that island, or I've never passed that section of coast. I don't know why, but those spots on my GPS track just bug me. And I won't get all of them done this year. I won't complete all of those gaps, but I'm going to start to intentionally plan trips and most likely take you along with me of these gaps along the coast. So that is another goal I have this year, to try to close some of those GPS gaps. This ties directly into the next goal I have for myself this coming year, and that's closing the gaps in my knowledge in what I would consider the 3 trickiest spots along the Maine coast, specifically in this section of the Maine coast. It's Saguenay Point, Petite Manans Point, and West Quoddy Head. Saguenay Point is a bit of an exposed trip. The conditions around that point can be very rough, very dynamic. There's not a lot of options for getting out safely. Now, I've been there a few times, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert on this area. I don't know enough of what's going on in that area to reliably predict what's happening. So that's one of the skill areas I want to cross off. The next area is the infamous and fabled Petite Manans Bar. Petite Manans Point connects to Petite Manans Light through an underwater bar that at low tide is actually pretty close to the surface. It is it can be a very rough spot. Now, I've been around this point. I haven't been over it, which is, again, one of my goals. I've been around this on calm days. I've seen it when it looks a little happier and when it's not quite as aggressive. But one of the things I want to focus on is getting myself to that point more times this season and going over it and exploring it and just understanding different times of tide and different conditions, what to expect at that second tricky spot. The third of the tricky spots up in Lubec, Maine, West Quoddy Head is the easternmost point in the United States. I've also been here a few times, but I would not consider myself an expert on this area. I don't know enough to know what it's going to do in certain conditions or certain times of tide other than best guesses. Now, all 3 of these spots, again, are exposed. They're tricky. The conditions can be very non-friendly for sea kayaking. And I'm not necessarily going to put myself into one of those spots in the worst possible conditions, but I want to start to build my skill set. And the other thing I'll share, which I don't know if I have yet, is that I don't expect to get all 3 of these spots kind of checked off my list this year, but this is going to be one of my goals, to look at these spots and to start thinking about, oh, that was one of my goals, to be in that area. I'm going to do a day trip out to Petite Manans Point and see what's going on there and start to build that data set. So I don't know if I'll be an expert by the end of the year. I don't know how many times I'll get out to these 3 tricky places that I kind of have in my mind, but they're starting to become areas I want to focus on a little bit more. The real reason behind all of these is to make me more confident and skilled. Each of these goals holds something I want to experience or grow within or be able to do. And yeah, there are other smaller goals, but these are really the big things that I'm kind of building my season around. These aren't just paddling goals, they're about who I'm becoming on and off the water. Now, the honest truth is whether I'll actually do these or not. In reality, there may be things outside of my control that'll keep me from completing some of these. Maybe obvious things like weather or time. But honestly, the bigger worry that I think is there is if I'm actually capable. What if I'm not as skilled as I think? What if I'm not good enough? That's the voice going on right here. Regardless, here's what I know. Waiting until I feel ready means I'll probably never start. So I'm committing. I'm going to break these down into things that feel doable and continue to put myself into those spaces, or continue planning this trip in Canada, continue to move forward to something. And also sharing them with you feels like I'm creating some accountability. There's like a little bit more gravity around these goals. And because of that, I invite you to put your goals in the comments. They don't have to be all of them. Maybe it can be the one you're most excited about, the one that scares you the most, the one that doesn't feel fully formed yet, but it's something that's calling you. Put them in the comments so we can all start to have that discussion and support each other. If you want to see more of my paddling journey, the adventures, the lessons, the real experiences that I have on the water, go check out other episodes. There's a whole library of content about building confidence and skill as a sea kayaker and as a person in our life. So go check out another episode and let me know what you think over there. I say it every week because I deeply, deeply mean it. I hope you enjoy your adventures, whatever they are, friends. And until next time, safe paddling. Bye for now.